What's up, everybody? I'm Anthony from ComicsEatingUp.net. I'm doing Anthony's Pickups. I haven't done one of these in a while. I've got a lot of great books that have come through. I mean, literally like hundreds of books have come through here. But I haven't spotlighted anything really cool lately, and I wanted to jump on. It's been an incredibly long baseball season. Coming up on July 1st is just around the corner. We still have a couple of tournaments, but I had some books sitting aside that just came in recently, or that I just picked up recently, that I wanted to spotlight and get to share with people. I always love sharing the things that I'm picking up, just because I try to pick up cool things. At least I think they're cool things. First up was a Kickstarter that I funded a while ago. Gore Shriek Delectus 2020. Now, this actually was a fundraiser in 2020, back in the heyday of COVID. This Gore Shriek is a great horror comic that used to come out in the 80s. They've put out a couple of books, but this is a nice big paperback size book. I mean, it's really thick. It's a bunch of pages. And I went with the cover. They had a bunch of covers, but I went with the cover that best kind of suited or best fit the ones that they used to do. So I went with this cover. Finally came in the mail. They finally fulfilled the Kickstarter, which was great. And it came with all sorts of postcards. Let me grab those. Like postcards of the old covers. And you see the black and white. It's kind of hard to see on here. The black and white covers, just great old 80s horror. Greg Capullo got his start on Gore Shriek, and I've just always loved comic, and I had to fund it, and I was so glad that they finally fulfilled the orders, because I've been sitting around waiting for this for a year, it seems like. So I'll set that aside. This next one, I love pre-code horror. I love horror comics in general. I'm a big fan of horror comics. I had recently found a place online that I could read some pre-code horror stuff. This is a Beyond Comics number 5. It's CGC 4.0. This is out of July 1951, 10-cent cover. It's a great book. I had a chance, like I said, I found a place to read some of these just off the wall pre-code horror books. I got this. I think this sells for about $150 in 4.0. Paid well less than what they sell for, so I couldn't pass it up. And like I said, I had read the series, so I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and grab one. Saw one come up for sale and picked it up. The next one is a antique store find. There was an antique store not far from here. I took my son out for his birthday, and he's like, "What do you want to do?" Or I was like, "What do you want to do?" And he was like, "Oh, well, let's go poke around." So we went to downtown Ellicott City, and I found an antique store that had a little comic shop built in, and I picked up a Max #1, the glow-in-the-dark variant. That's a 9.6 CGC. I'm working like backwards the way that I normally work, so there we go. So Max #1 glow in the dark is CGC 9.6. Past couple of sales on these in this grade have gone for about $160. I paid, I think, $40 for it. So when I walked in the store and saw it, they had a bunch of slabs up there. Some things that were definitely overpriced. It's an antique store. Anytime I seem to find comics in an antique store or pawn shop, they're well overpriced. But for whatever reason, they priced this one ridiculously low. I checked the case. There's no cracks. There's no, scratches. It doesn't look like it's been cracked open or anything like that, and the book replaced. So I was like, hey, I got to get it. I know it was my son's birthday, but I, walked away with comic books all the same. The next one's something kind of cool. I got this in the mail, and it's kind of a funny story. I'll go ahead and show it off. This is Stray Dogs #1. It's a PGX 9.8. Now, I've never owned a PGX book before. I just never have. I've always been CBC. I started out as a CGC guy, switched over to CBCS when they came on the market, and then switched back to CGC. But I like competition, and I think competition's always healthy for the market. So when PGX East came on, they sent me a couple of press releases saying, hey, can you run this? And now the guy who runs it, Rob Pillsbury, is actually a guy I know. He's a former CGC grader, and he was like, can you run these press releases for me? I'm like, sure. And it's one of those things that PGX, the PGX West kind of has a reputation for some things that may or may not have happened. I don't know. I don't want to get into, the history of all of it, but kind of has a reputation, and he's trying to grow his market and, grow the thing. So he's trying a bunch of different things, but I got it in, and I'll tell you, I was pretty impressed overall with the slab. The book grading is very consistent. It's a 9.8. I wouldn't be surprised if I cracked it open and actually was able to get maybe a 9.9. I mean, it is a beautiful cover. There's no scratches on it. There's no spine dings. There's no, any kind of flaw. Corners are very sharp. There's no, you get a little fuzziness on the corners sometimes. There's none of that. Overall, the case is nice and thick. It's a thick case. It's thicker than both CGC and CBCS cases. Crystal clear. I like that. The label is decent. I do like, and CBCS, one of the things that always kind of bothered me about CBCS is they don't do the white boxes. CGC does the white boxes. It makes the grade prominent, but CBCS focuses on the book. Therefore, the label's not as important as the book inside. So they don't do the white box. But it's kind of hard to show it on here. I'll take a picture of it and show it. But it's a beautiful book, and I really appreciate it. It was funny because I didn't expect this, and when somebody sends me a press release and says, "Hey, can you run a press release for me?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I'll do it." So I wasn't expecting anything in return, and then I get an email saying, "Hey, I need to send you something. Give me your address." And yeah, sure. It fired off my address. And not thinking about it, I was thinking maybe you're sending like promotional materials, and I've got stickers on all the short boxes that I have down here, and I love stickers, like comic shop stickers. So I figured maybe he was going to send me a couple of stickers or something. But no, he sent me that Stray Dogs #1. I mean, and the book itself is doing great. So getting it in was really cool. Now the one thing that I can say, and I actually shot him an email in reference to this. So like I said, the case is really cool. It's very clear. It's a sturdy case. It doesn't feel like something that's going to break or anything. But then I noticed there was like a little bit, and I think you can see it right there. There's a little bit of like stickiness. It's not stickiness. It's like a little bit of roughness on the side. And, I shot the guy Rob an email. I was like, "Hey, Rob, what is this?" I was like, "The case looks beautiful. Thank you for sending me the book. Really appreciate it. But what is that little that's probably the best angle to see it at, that little roughness, like right in here." And he's like, "That's just where the, when the cases come together, if you were to flip them open like a clamshell, that's where they're connected coming out of the molds." And I was like, "Okay, fair enough." It's not something that bothers me enough, that I'd be like, but it was, it's just, it was just something interesting, something that I hadn't seen before. And, I've got to ask the question, what's going on there? So, yeah, that was cool. And I really appreciate this. And big shout out to Rob Pillsbury for sending this to me. Thank you. I really appreciated the book. Anyway, that's it. That's some of the cool stuff that I've got recently, either in the mail or the antique shop. I'm hoping that I'm going to be hitting the shops again soon. I've been doing a lot of mail order, and I just get so many books in every week that I haven't been doing, any of the videos like regularly. And I wish, I had more time, and I'm going to start doing them again. Things are slowing down, like I said. But anyway, thanks again for watching. I will talk to you all later.